Now, this might ruffle a lot of feathers too, but I'm also of the mind of going back to my roots and historics. And like a couple of years ago, I was really doing a lot of research about other cultures and even in the African culture. And then going back to how Christianity came into play here and the cultures and the hoodoos and what's used to be deemed as bad. It still is to some degree.
Right.
But that was a culture that a lot of us in different countries within Africa, that's what we practice. So I am like trying to, at the end of all of that, no matter what you decide to practice, there's always some sort of higher being, right? And unless you're an atheist. And even if you're into like what they call this, Satanists, Satanic stuff, still they believe it's a higher power,
something,
right?
Right? That's their thing.
That's their thing, right? That ain't my thing,
right?
But that's their thing.
Welcome to another episode of Not Your Average Aunties podcast.
I'm Key.
I'm Joe.
And I am Jay.
We keep it real,
raw,
and relatable while sharing our opinions
and experiences
and feeling.
All right. So what are we talking about today?
Becoming one with God. How do you feel? What's your thoughts on the subject matter? Because this can be touchy for some talking about religion.
It can be. I mean, I took the liberty of looking up what it possibly means, and it could mean different things for different people. But there was a definition out there.
Okay, let's hear it.
So I grabbed it, and it's just going to add to the discussion from my perspective. So anyways, becoming one with God is a profound spiritual concept that spans both the Old and New Testaments. It involves a deep, intimate relationship with God characterized by unity in spirit, purpose, and will. The unity is not just an abstract idea, but it is meant to be lived out in practical everyday life.
Okay. Joe, what's your thoughts on it?
I've always believed that there was a higher being. As I've spoken in previous podcasts, I grew up as a Jehovah's Witness. As I got older, I started witnessing things that made me question why they teach what they teach.
Meaning Jehovah's Witnesses, Jehovah's Witnesses in general.
And it just made me feel like some were being hypocrites because they were not living to what they preached in the Kingdom Hall. And it made me pull away. So at 16, I stopped going. Now, the last 10 years, I've been wanting to become better at practicing and reading the Bible. And I do read it on my own. I do pray every day. I would prefer going to church or someplace where I can listen to scripture being read to us and discussions being had. But it's been hard because now it's turned into where everyone is looking for money. Your donations is like the most important thing. And it takes away from what should be taught. That's just it's a turnoff. But you be walking around with a credit card scanner up and down the aisle.
Well, that's modern technology today. So everybody's, I mean, they're making it easy. Nobody is really walking around with cash, right? So I think the statement that you made about you found that at least where you were actually going and your leaders at that time in the Jehovah's Witness religion, one could say that that's also true in the Christian and all the other religions where they feel like some of them are hypocritical.
Yes.
They're preaching one thing and doing something different.
Yeah.
I mean, people have seen it. It's come out into the world sometimes. So I think that it's not just Jehovah's Witness. I just want to make sure it's not who do that. So
but that I was just speaking on my
experience. Yeah, I agree. It could happen in any religion. Because at the end of the day, it's up to a human to interpret whether it's the Bible, the Quran, the Torah. It's a human being that's interpreting what's in those pages. And then a lot of times in religion, you get individuals that will weaponize whatever's in the Bible or those documents. And what I mean by that is they take it and make it their own interpretation and then decide on their interpretation is their rule and that's how you should live.
Yeah, I think I disagree with that. Well, I think on the flip side of that, you have people that go and they listen to these individuals preach the word, whatever it is, and they are idolizing that person.
Oh, that's another thing.
And then they're believing everything that they're saying. So now they can become a victim by their own volition because now instead of you going out and getting your own interpretation and your own understanding, you're taking what this individual in front of you who's also a human just like you, that whatever they're telling you about what their interpretation of the Bible is what it is, instead of you going out and getting your own learning and your own understanding and then doing it. Oh, this person took advantage of me. Well, you idolize this person to a certain degree.
Yeah, that happens a lot in the church.
Yeah.
Where the preacher, you do they
charismatic, right? That's say they're out there.
They're out there. You hold them to a higher power for a number of different reasons. They studied it. They got degrees reason, you would hope. So, and then they put their spin on it. And I say that because a lot of them will put their spin depending on the congregation and the ages, the demographics, and they'll try to make it more relatable so that it's easier to digest.
Yeah.
And you can understand it.
Want to do that. You got to make it relatable. You want it to be digestible.
Yes.
But you as an individual need to go out and get your own understanding.
I believe that 100%. And I think that you shouldn't, no one, anything, whether it's religion or anything, I just believe people shouldn't take it for face value and do your own due diligence.
Right.
Because again, to your point, people will idolize the preacher, the pastor said this and that's the law. And you should be following, if you are religious like that, you need to be following the word God, not necessarily your pastor, because they're human beings, right? Like they say in the Bible, your flesh can succumb to so many different things, right? So I think, and I've been one historically, I used to go to church a lot, and my church, I love my church. I think they're doing amazing things. I just haven't been there in a while, right? And the primary reason why I haven't been there because it's too damn far. I moved away from that state. So I just don't want to do it. I was doing the community. I'm not doing it anymore. But I also feel like I don't necessarily have to go to a church to worship God and speak to God.
Yeah.
Right. I believe that church does help you become consistent.
Yes.
Right. Because there's a way for you every Sunday or how many days a week you go. It helps with your consistency and because you're with the same type of people.
And you become more curious, and that leads you to learn more. If you're the one that's going to go and absorb the information that was presented to you that day and then go do your own research. So you become more curious. You want to learn more. You grow more spirituality because they have Bible lessons. They have this, and you can do this virtually. You can do this in person. You can do this. They have lesson plans, basically. That's the lack of a description. They have lesson plans to learn and understand the Bible. They have read the Bible in 365 days. Yeah, reading it and still trying to interpret and understand it because you want to understand it for yourself.
Yeah.
And people tend to think like, oh, I didn't get what this scripture said. I don't understand what they're saying here. So you go listen to somebody else. But you gotta remember, that's that person's interpretation of what that scripture is.
Agreed.
So I feel like everybody has their own experience and how they practice religion, how they get closer to God. If they choose to get closer to God, if they even call God God, they call God there's so many different ways. Yes, he's reference. He or she's reference. Yes. Is reference. So I think it's up to the individual. And I do believe for me, there is a higher power other than me, but it's not the individual standing at the pulpit.
No, agreed. And that's the thing. Like, I won't say that I won't ever step foot in the church again. That's not true. But I speak to God multiple times a day. I talk to him about my blessings. I talk to him for counsel. So I just, right now, finding a church for me is not a priority. That's not, I got other things that part,
Because you can get it, like I said, you have many ways to get fulfilled. Like me, I read a scripture daily. There's this app that I'm using right now where I read a scripture daily, and then they'll have like questions for you to answer about stuff that's actually in the Bible, not because somebody said it to me. And then I get up and I say how grateful I am that I'm actually seeing another day here. Blessings over my family, my loved ones, and all that kind of things like that. And I have questions. I talk to God as well, especially if you have those crazy thoughts that come in your head. I think there was one episode we was talking about where you have the two different things on your angel and them on your shoulder. I have those moments when I'm thinking something crazy. I'll like, God, why is this thought coming into my head? And things like that. So I have multiple conversations also, and I listen to lots of music. I'll listen to maybe a sermon on YouTube or whatever have you. Just a way to fill your spiritual need.
Yeah, it's individual. Yeah. Everybody needs it differently, right? And there are people that will sit and watch this show, and they'll be like, blasphemy, because we're not going by their interpretation and what they were. I don't want to say use the word groom, but taught to believe. I'm also of the mind of this might ruffle a lot of feathers too, but I'm also of the mind of going back to my roots and historics. And like a couple of years ago, I was really doing a lot of research about other cultures and even in the African culture, and then going back to how Christianity came into play here and the cultures and the hoodoos and what's used to be deemed as bad and still is to some degree.
Right.
But that was a culture that a lot of us in different countries within Africa, that's what we practice. So I am like trying to, at the end of all of that, no matter what you decide to practice, there's always some sort of higher being, right? And unless you're an atheist. And even if you're into like what they call this, Satanists, stuff, still they believe it's a higher power, right? So,
right? That's their thing.
That's their thing, right? That ain't my thing,
right?
But that's their things. I I'm one that wants to learn a little bit more, not just be thinking about what's been historically shoveled down our throats about Christianity right now. So in my household, the way I grew up, my mother's devout Catholic. You ain't going to sway her from that. She ain't gonna stop, child. She's devout Catholic. Mm-hmm. But on my father's side, they're more into Baptist Christianity. Yeah. Mm-hmm. And so I got the best of both worlds. And then I also have a group of individuals within my family that are Muslim. So it gave me, as a child growing up and seeing that, it piqued my interest because I'm like, okay, wait a minute, time out.
Yeah.
That's what, because I got exposure to all those different things. I was like, hold on, so what does that mean?
Yeah.
And sometimes even when my aunt, she had introduced the Muslim faith to her children, and as a kid seeing that, and they dressed in the hijab, and seeing all of that as a child, it's like, wait, well, what's that? Because that's different from going to church with my mom, who you better be good with your knees because you up and down on them shoes. You got to pray to the Lord, say your rosaries, Our Father, this, that, Hail Mary for the grace. And then going with my grandmother, and they getting down. You know what I'm saying? And that, so for me, loving music, I was drawn to that. Mm-hmm. I love the music, and you're going to catch me with them gospel, you could sing and all that. That drew me in. But it also, as a child, because there was too many different things, I was like, well, hang on a second. Let me try to do some research on my own to figure out what works for me.
Right.
And
that's what it comes down to, what works with individuals. Yeah. Like I have in my notes here, know how others define and relate to God helps build cultural intelligence. It breaks down stereotypes. Not all religious people are the same, and not all spiritual people are non-religious. So just having that understanding, and you having an experience of all the different denominations or practices within your family gives you a different perspective and view.
Absolutely.
As I would also provide the understanding. Like you're not going to, I think it's when you're less judgmental, because people, I feel like some religions judge a lot of, because they don't know and they don't understand, never took the time. So learn.
No. Some of them do know. They don't care.
Yeah.
And again,
that's a true statement. I can't say that they don't.
Yeah.
No.
Right. So they don't care because it goes on to say that it's my way. No. It's this is the right way. Because, you can get with someone who is, I'm just going to name some different religions, right? So someone who's a Jehovah's Witness would look at the Jew and say, this is the right way. Someone who's a Jew will look at it and be like, yeah, bugging. Right. But they never say that. Right. But you know what I mean? We are the right way, So, and then someone who's into Pentecostal, who's Seventh-day Adventist, there's so many different things. Then you get someone who is more spiritual. They're Ifas. They practice like from Yoruba cultures. And they may say, wait, hang on a second. Yeah. And I've never seen what's interesting. I've never heard anybody say our way is the best way. What I've heard those individuals say, like, this is what we were originally taught in our culture in Africa before Christianity was shoved down our throat. And they stripped us of what we used to practice. Mm-hmm. They made it so that it's now witchcraft. Right. And you're going to go ahead and get this Jesus, The Lord knows he ain't, listen, he's speaking through me. However it's going to come out. But it's the truth that's what happened. Yeah. It's like, no, strip you away from all of that and here, think about Jesus. So then you have people to go that way. Now, I'm not going to sit here and say that other African cultures did not have Christianity because it does date back for many, many, many years. And some of them would still practice that. But understanding within Africa, there's multiple countries, multiple tribes that were doing different things. So I don't judge because of this reason why I said I was exposed to so much. I just know that I'm covered. And
because your individual relationship, who you look to as a higher power. That's it. You don't have to worry about everybody else and how they do it. I was watching a clip from The Breakfast Club when they had Sarah Jessica Jakes. I'm getting it right.
Well, she's married now.
I know she's Roberts. Mm-hmm. And they was asking her about people attending church virtually. Okay. She was like, y'all not going to try to make me here today, because his comment on Her Breakfast Club. He was saying that the way the church is ran now, he got a lot of backlash for condemning how the church is run now. That it's become, I think he said it's become like a club or something like that. I could be quoting it wrong, but he was saying that, the way it's run now, it's not run the right way. And her response to, after she made that statement, y'all not going to get me caught up out here. She said, they're making it more accessible for people to attend. Yeah, having the virtual service. Like she said, when she was having her Women's Evolve event, she wasn't sure people were going to actually come in person because they have the availability to be online. They're making it so people can participate. And if that's how they can, because some people, they probably can't get out of their homebound, for many different reasons, or people have certain fears of leaving their home. Whatever your reasons are that they want to go attend church virtually, you shouldn't condemn them. But I agree at them.
So this is nothing, because it's to your point, there's so many different reasons why people do what they call bedside church, because you could literally open up your laptop, roll over, just say, like, I've done it. So I too. So, but there's many reasons. Right. I'm not using, these are not my reasons, because I already told you guys my reasons, just the distance. Mm-hmm. But I've also did bedside church with my church, and then I've done it with others. Okay. Some people, because when you get church people, sometimes church people could be judgmental. Why? Because we're humans, and humans judge. So if you get somebody who's like, listen, I just want to hear the word. Right. I don't want to be you. If I bust up in there and I ain't got the right attire on, and y'all looking at me crazy, that doesn't make me feel good.
And I mean, I to be physically social.
I may not want to be physically, or let's talk about the LGBTQ community. So they can just want to hear the word, but then if they bust up in there, you get these church people that are like, nah, that's blasphemy, that's this. So now you're not welcome. You're not welcome here. And that's what it's like. So no, some of them, some churches will. Yeah. So, and listen, I'm only saying this to share not my experience, but experiences of others that I know, to enlighten folks, because just because you do things one way does not mean the rest of the world has to do it that way. Now, they will kind of, jump on me and say, well, my way is the way of the light. My way is the only way to get into heaven. And my thought to that is, okay, well, let me know when you get there. Maybe we can talk, because I don't know. Like, how do you know? Like, I'm not trying not to be funny.
Let's say I walked it. I know you're not trying to be funny, but the way you said, like, let me talk about it when we get there. You may not even see them.
And then where did you go? Where did I go? But my point is, when we dead, like, when we don't know, because these are the things that we would taught. Right? You would hope. But I would like to think that God, there's multiple ways to get there. Some would argue that heaven is within you. So many different philosophical ways of thinking about it. So my thing is, while you're here on this earth, just try to live right, man.
Yes. And that's it. That's it. It is bottom line. Right. Do right. Be a good person. Yep. Have a good spirit. Be compassionate. Have empathy. All those things. What is, that falls under what they call agape. Like, big love. Try and follow those type of things. And I think that'll get you in heaven, I think.
By this time, you should know right from wrong and try to live the right way.
You would hope.
Yes.
You would hope it. But, and with each thing that each one of us says, I can hear a counter argument. Oh, yeah. Right there, like, yeah, but your way here, you are drinking wine and you ain't supposed to do that. Or you're not supposed to dress a certain way. Or women should wear, I don't know. I feel you on that, for real. I feel you. But this is my point. And so if I go by what you're saying, don't drink, don't do this. Okay, well, Jesus turned water into wine. If we want to go by those, that's what you're saying. And then some people would say that's a lie. That was made up. I mean, this is not a truth. It's all that films
at the dinner table, say Zach. And that goes back to the hypocritical thing that Joseph was saying, that people are hypocrites. They'll say one thing and they'll do another. Nobody can judge you but the man up above.
That's all on.
That's it. So, and whoever that may be to you, whatever that may be to you in your respective religion, but that leads to a lend to the idea of the non-denominational churches now that they have out there, which I've been to. I think I've been to one or two one time to me, and I still think it leans more towards Christianity.
It does, all right. Yeah, not churches. Yeah, right. It does because it has to be some foundational element.
Christianity, a lot of things fall under Christianity.
That is great.
So, but at least you have a place to go to if you don't want to quote unquote lock into.
That's about the only thing that I miss. I mean, I don't go to the Kim Horn anymore, but I do miss every so often end up and going in and mingling with other sisters and brothers and things like that. I don't have to do it every week, but that's something that I would like.
And that's the other thing. Just you shouldn't feel like you have to go on a schedule. Like if I go this week and I did bedside service this week, or I go next week, or I don't go for a month, but I'm still practicing, I'm still real. Listen, it's not I don't think there's no right way way to actually do it.
I agree with you, but you let the church folks tell you.
Yeah.
Child, they're going to be. So that's my issue with religion is less about God or the higher power. It's always dealing with the humans and church people. And when you're too churchy, when you make statements like, using the movie Sinners, I don't go see Sinners because it's Sinner church. And why would you see a movie called Sinners, and it's like, do you even know what it's about? Did you even do the research? So for me, it's always been about the people. And I've seen some people in my church, and I was much younger too, but I just watch. I like to watch. I know I like to observe. And I'm like, you say one thing out your mouth. Now, my pastor and his group, the inner circle, they dope. But I'm talking about the church people. Yeah. And how they're judging and looking at what this was. I've seen it. And I've seen it in other churches. And it's like, that's so whack to me.
Yeah. You make me think about the ones who don't want to listen to secular music. Yeah. But they're taking secular music and making it with secular.
Let me tell you something. Back when Kirk Franklin first came out.
Oh my God.
They were giving him the thunder, right? And I even had an aunt, may she rest in peace. So she was she's definitely into church a lot. And she did she's like, oh, that's cool. But sometimes you get folks that are so ingrained in their way of doing and worshiping that is, that's got to be the best way. And it's like, no, I'm stoned. That's what the people say. You gonna bring them in? That's what's gonna help.
That's my view. But if it's gonna help
them think about, well, what are we talking about? What's he talking about? Stomp. And then you be like, oh, we're talking about God. Then it's like, wait a minute now. You're reaching a different generation. Yeah. Don't want to listen. Some people don't want to hear that. Oh Lord. And I do. I love either way, but some people
you like it all. I like it all because it has a different, it's like in type of music. It most different type of feeling in you, right? Yeah. I was listening to this pastor recently because the same way the music is the way people preach. Back in the day, you had the whoa shouting and screaming and right.
I tell you, they got the camera. Right. Yes, Lord. Come on, somebody.
And he said, you're not going to get that from me. The way I talk to you now is the way I'm going to preach to you.
Yeah.
And I was like, I can receive that.
Yeah.
I don't want to feel like I'm being scolded and yelled at.
Yeah. and things, so because I hear you, and the things because I've been to so many different ones, real talk, whenever I do go to a church and I'm listening to the pastor or whoever's preaching,
right.
I'm really trying to see, okay, so what are they talking about? Can I get it in the way that they're delivering it?
Right.
And listen, everything's not going to be hip. Or some things are more traditional. And that's okay.
That's okay too. Yeah.
It doesn't bother me so long as I get it. And then immediately I'm watching how the other people receive it.
Yeah.
And I just like when the word is broken down. This is in such a way that it's like, I get that.
I don't feel lost. I don't feel like I'm not grasping. I'm not understanding.
And it's not like you trying to, it's broken down in a way where it's more, you can receive it and you're like, I get this.
Right.
And I see how it applies and I'm good with this. And it's almost a subliminal way. It's like, okay, this is the way you should live. I get it, what they're saying, but it's not forced on you. It's up to you. You take it and you do what you want with that word.
Exactly.
So that was the issues that I was having growing up. And now the music, it has to grab it.
I have a question.
I never enjoyed the music at the King Hall because I was so bland.
What kind of music is it? Because I don't.
They have a hymn book and they may turn on the record player or something. Somebody may play the piano and you just sing.
But is it like, it's no choir on his tone? I'm literally, why it sounds like everybody saying that it was boring. Wait, is it like Catholic?
Yes.
No, so it's more okay, that's how the Catholics get.
Yeah, and they were like, I know. Yeah, I went to my first Baptist church and I'm hearing the music. I was like, okay, I can take the glory just be reached at the Kingdom Hall, but why can't we sing like this or put together a choir or things like that?
That's not, they don't do the choirs.
They don't do choirs, none of that stuff.
Because you guys don't do birthdays, you don't do, yeah.
And so nothing.
It's interesting because they don't do choirs, but Prince was a Jehovah's Witness towards the end. He definitely really got
into it
and more. Mm-hmm. And I'm like, y'all don't practice all that.
Michael Jackson,
you say
that was great.
Mike, yeah.
I was watching the interview with Damon Wayans too. He's also a Jehovah's.
Yeah, Witness. Yes.
Mm-hmm. He would say he don't toast because that's what the pagans. Yeah,
paganism. Yes.
So he'll hold a glass up, but he's not gonna drink it.
He's not. He's like
like no, yes, but it was. I never heard heard it. Yeah. I never heard any explanation behind why Jehovah's Witnesses do what they do and certain things that they don't do, I should say.
So a lot of it has to do with paganism, and the same thing with Christmas trees. That's why you ain't never have Christmas trees and nothing like that. They don't that. There's no
document that says that Jesus was born on Christmas.
That's a big thing in a lot of religions. That's why they say what Christianity is preaching, it's a lie. So some people will say that. I'm not saying that. And the reason why I will never stand and say, no, this is the way Jesus did it. This is the way God did it. This is the way, because
he wasn't there.
I would think exactly you weren't.
He wasn't there.
That's exactly why. So I'm not gonna say that. I will read the Bible. I do have an app that gives me verses as well. But my most important thing is like, okay, I'm just gonna keep talking to God. And how I talk to him just like I talk to, he's my homie.
Right.
So I talk to him, and sometimes I cuss. He knows me. So
and that's the same way.
Every way I talk to him.
He's like, why are you going to switch up? Why are you going to switch up? Switch up? Because he already talking to me like this. This is not you. You're dead. I can see you having a conversation like, come on, girl, be real. What are you doing over here? This is not you. Show me the real you. Like,
nobody knows.
Right. I'm saying that's what you're going to tell you. As they come here with the sense, basically.
What really made me question religion and how it's being taught and really made me start looking into it more? The Da Vinci Code.
You always say that. Not only the laugh, we read that book in a book class, and she was just like, in her mind said, Mom.
But if you'll be able to study, I read the book.
Yeah. And
have you watched about the Catholic Church? It's a TV series. It's called Conclave. Have you watched that?
I believe no.
I know. I looked at it. I think it's in Latin. I don't think it's in English, or watching stuff in the different languages. Not my thing. Even with the subtitles, because I'm not watching. I may check it out, but it looked really interesting.
I might check it out. Stuff like that I get fascinated with, right? Yeah. So, because I was also reading, which fascinated me about a couple of years ago when I was like, one thing about religion, right? So even if you're not religious or you dabbled in religion, when you get knocked on your ass or when life knocks you out,
where you at?
You will be. You're like, Lord, that's exactly. Lord, love me. God, you saw me. Please cry. You show it to get you all the day, right? Every day. So vote. You know what? Some people, not all, do that. Everyone don't do that.
That's true.
But some people do that. Not everyone.
Oh, God comes out of everybody's mouth, and then they probably...
Not everybody. Not everybody.
Okay.
There's some people that just don't believe it, period.
No, I know.
So they won't. But my point is sometimes many of us that when life knocks you down, that's when you will find your way. So because I grew up around knowing that no matter what, you Muslim, Pentecostal, Christianity, Catholic, don't matter, I knew there was a higher power. Mm-hmm. So when I got knocked on my ass, I started thinking, you start reading about the crystals and the rocks and stuff. So I was like, wait, hang on a second. Because I was a little conflicted because of my teachings of how I grew up. It's like, what you mean, crystal? Like, what do you mean? So then I started to do some more research, and that's how I figured out. Mm-hmm. When I learned that many of the tribes in Africa were stripped of their original religion, which some would say is hoodoo, not voodoo. And that was what they preached, right? And that's what they were learning. Mm-hmm. And then when I think about it, what's really fascinating is when you think about the different practices of hoodoo versus Christianity, a lot of the little things that we did, whether it's jumping the broom or this or that, or
I jumped the broom in my life.
just little practices here and there. They're still making it. No,
those are African part too, but I know they did it in the South as well.
Yeah. But it's different. There's and I can't recollect all the things, but there's little things here and there that still trace back to the original stuff. And so when it's just so wild to me. So that's what opened my eyes around it. I'm like, okay, so if there's the people that they practice hoodoo and that is their thing. Mm-hmm. I don't think that's not witchcraft to me. No, but you let a Christian, they be like, oh no, child.
Well, because I do think that witchcraft is out there, for sure.
Oh yeah,
and I do think like people do practice it. I know certain nationalities, is the way to describe it,
the Santeria, all that stuff.
Yeah.
Practice all that,
but that's not to me. No,
I don't think that is. I'm talking about people they getting the freaking dolls and.
See, that's taking it too far. Like I believe in ghosts. I believe in spirits.
So you talking about what's it called? Come on, the voodoo doll.
The voodoo doll.
Yeah.
I think people. I think people really do.
Oh, for sure.
Practice that for sure. I do believe that stuff, but for sure. All the more reason why I feel like you should hold on to whoever your higher power is, because I think there's always a conflicting or opposite whatever.
Mm-hmm.
So thinking
the good and the bad.
Right.
Yeah.
So I agree with that. I believe that that's out there, and no knowing that stuff was out there, I always have to protect myself and be covered.
Oh, absolutely.
I truly believe that I am.
Yeah.
I'm not.
Yeah. So I believe.
Question that.
Yeah, I do believe that. I remember growing up that I was talking to one of my aunts about to go and see my mom on the weekends, right? So I was speaking to, we were just about to go to sleep, and I was talking to them. I was like drilling my Aunt Marguerite about religion, like drilling, and family history. And then she was telling me about her uncle, which is my great uncle. And I never met him because he was gone by the time I came. Never saw a picture of this man. Now, we were talking about him, and I must have been like 6 or 7 years old. I went to bed. I had a dream, and I saw a man standing in the corner. And when I woke up the next day, I'm describing him to a teen. She just was like, and she probably won't remember this conversation because she's older now, but she was just like, oh no, that's Tata. And I was just like, well, I never seen him. I said, do you have any pictures of him? Do you have? And she couldn't find anything. And then finally, she found a picture. I was like, that's who I saw. So I know that our ancestors are there watching over us. I fully believe that. I fully believe that they cover us. They hear us. They speak to us. Yeah, I believe sometimes you can even hear them.
I know I did.
Yes.
So my youngest aunt was probably, I lost many people, but one of my first heartbreaks in losing someone. And she would always come talk to me. And it used to freak me out at first. Because I'm like, why are you doing this? You're not physically here anymore.
Yeah.
But it was more, she was a jokester. So I felt like that you're still playing jokes on me. This is what you're doing. And, when I finally got comfortable and not afraid of it, and I accepted it. But it used to scare the shit out of me that literally hear her voice. I could be walking down the street and I feel like she called me. And I'm like, why are you calling me? Because she used to do crazy shit like that too. But I do believe that they're always there. Like, I recently, maybe a couple of months ago, I was looking for something frantically. It was something that my mom had, something of my mom's. And I'm like, I lost it. I was literally about to die right there in that moment.
Yeah.
And then I found it. And I was like, thank you, Mom. Because I know it was her. It's nobody else. Because you know how right. I was about to lose shit. So I do feel like they're always.
No, for sure. The only thing I can say, because I'm a weirdo and I love horror, right? So when I do believe that stuff, but I always think if I hear something like that, is it you? Because because don't be trying to fake it. And then the next thing you know, some demon that goes back to somebody trying to say something that could actually somebody that's not really exactly. So like, wait a minute now, is it you? Is that you? Like, don't be fighting. And I think that's probably what my fear was. I didn't really know if it was my aunt or not. You just you don't doing this. I know you're a prankster, but this is not funny.
So I have a story. I have a funny one. When my father died, he left the 98 Oldsmobile he had to me. And we used that car to drive it to Virginia Beach. That was our first road trip. And all of us was in the car. And my mother kept saying, the first time we got a flat tire. You didn't even make it out of Jersey. And she says, your father never liked the beach. I don't think he's going to be happy as drop the car down there. So the whole time going down, we kept having issues. And when we finally hit Virginia, the car started smoking up. Oh man, I had it towed off the highway and I had a rental come get us and we went and had our vacation. Car was getting fixed and she said, see, we shouldn't have done, we should have just rented something because your father didn't want his car down here. And that's all my mother kept saying. Car was making all this noise each time we were in. Don't you know the minute that car got fixed and it was time to leave, we did not have an ounce of trouble going back home.
That is super. He was fixing and listen, I believe it. I believe that, so I think, here's my take on it. Can I, because some people are so devout within whatever religion that they're in, they won't date anybody that doesn't feel the same way. And you know what? Depending on how, I can see how that could be problematic. If you have someone that is Bible thumping all about it, and then they date somebody who's not, there's going to be friction. My husband, he's not into the church like that, right? Not the way I was. Would he go? Yes. But he's not like, especially if we're coming, to baptize the kids or whatever, stuff like that. He'll go for that occasionally on Sundays, but he's not going to go all the time. That's not his thing. But it never caused a problem for me because he knew that down his throat. I wasn't trying to down his throat, going to do this or else kind of thing, No, and he respected my beliefs and what, like even if me saying my prayers at night or whatever the case, like it's about respect. Like, okay, this is what she's into. I'm going to respect that, So I think if you just find somebody that's going to respect your thing, then you're good.
Yeah. And there are people there are people who actually marry someone who of a different religion.
Yes.
Either they're like the father to see inside head, or either they'll adopt a new religion and they'll learn it and they'll understand it, or they'll continue to practice their own while still respecting the other person's religion. I can see how it can become a problem if you feeling like yours is more superior than the other. But if you have the level of respect to say, okay, this is what you practice, this is what I practice, and we come here in the meeting ground on things that are similar, because I feel like there are some things that are similar across religions. It's like, outside of just believing in a higher power, I think there are some things that are similar across religions. So I think if you can meet in the middle there, you're going to be fine. I've seen people do it.
Yeah, it was funny. My father he only went to like the special conventions and stuff, but he believed in God. And it was just weird to me that even though he didn't know how to read and write, he was able to quote scriptures better than some of the elders at the kingdom.
But that's what's been taught to him.
Yes. And I just thought that was the weirdest thing in the world.
Not your dad, but there are people who quote scriptures all day, every single day, and do the most heinous, evil, non-religious thing out there. But they gonna read you a scripture.
Well, that's the thing. You gotta remember, even the devil knows the scripture.
Right? Yeah.
Right. So if you want to think about that, like he was casted out because he just wanted, the homie before he's cast. So he knows the scripture.
Yeah.
So you can't, you know what I mean? So it's like, it is what it is. Like,
I just thought it was fascinating. That's all. And the brothers used to come every so often and actually want to talk with him because they can really go head for head. Scriptures and their interpretations.
That's what he was taught. So
but he wasn't using it for bad, because some people use it for bad.
A lot. And even some, I think, that don't even realize it.
Yeah.
That they're just using it they weaponize it. So I don't know. I think if you pray to whoever you want to pray to.
Baseball was on Sunday. So when it was time to go to the Kingdom Hall and brothers would call and ask him to come, he said he would say the same thing. I don't need to be there to be one with God. I'm going to be one with God during this baseball game.
But hey, him and God was remiss, actually.
Yeah.
That's what you want to do. I mean, but the thing is I just feel like I'm not one to ever shove it down somebody's throat. As when my kids were younger, yes, we all went to church. So I was given the foundation, but I always told them, we are going here so you can learn, but it's up to you to continue to expound on your learning. And now they went to children's church and all that stuff. But as they got older, it was really up to them to figure out. And it's funny because as children get to the teenage stage, or like your point, you said 16, you left. That's when they start questioning, because from young, they know they went to children's church, they learn all the things. And then you get to a point where you're like questioning, like, well, wait a minute. Yeah. Why is this? What they're using their logic.
The foundation never leaves. Like the foundation never leaves. I think that's an important, to me, an important takeaway too, is if you teach them from young.
Yeah.
And they decide, I don't want to go to church anymore. I don't want to sit anymore. That foundation is still there. It's in there. It wouldn't need them. And they may very well return one day when they choose to, because that was on their own terms. It's not because mom and dad said, I have to do it, right? So I think that's, because I know my cousin, no matter how crazy she can be sometimes, church, she knows where to go. She knows church, she knows God, she believes in God, but you can't take the church out of her.
Yeah.
Face is what I'm trying to say.
Or the religion.
More so the religion, not the church. Yeah. But when she needs that
anchor that she's going to go.
Right. Yeah, exactly. So I think that's important to mention. When you instill it from young, it'll never leave them, and they'll do it on their own way or not.
No, some people, but that's up to them. It's up to them. So I think, listen, guys, do your best. And talk to whatever higher being, or not. If that's not your thing, then that's not your thing. But don't be trying to stuff things down somebody else's throat just because that's your belief. Go find the people that, if you believe a certain way, instead you trying to push it. And I get there's a whole thing about evangelizing and spreading the word. I understand that, but sometimes you can do that, but don't try to shove it down. And your way is not the only way. And I feel like if you don't find that whatever you're putting down, people are receiving it, go find the people that can pick up what you're putting down. That's what I say.
I mean, so with that being said, looking at how some of the things have, do you remember back in the day you had to wear, you mentioned how you had to dress and all that kind of stuff. I find that, that they're allowing, and I think hopefully maybe maybe they're progressing in this way where come as you are really mean come as you are. Because back then, came as you are was like, oh, the big old hats, skirts, like uniform almost. You know, these Easter egg colors. I shouldn't say that. That's not nice. But it's the truth. The outfits was like, you know, the bright grannies and pinks and the big hat, the feathers. I can't even see the pastor in front of me because this big old hat is on my head. Not to be judging and talking about the people back then, but I feel like this still happening now. But those are people that's going to continue. That's what they've been doing. Yeah, what they've been knowing forever. But I think they're not looking at people. Some of them. Well, I shouldn't say that. I don't know because I don't even go. But I would hope that if with the progression of come as you are, you see people go to church in jeans now. You see, see that's pushed. So you see pastors and you see pastors preach on the man. No, I know. What do you mean you don't go to church in jeans? You letting that Jehovah's Witness stuff get to you, baby. No, but what's wrong with it? I want to know what's wrong with you going to church in jeans. Why? Saying you got to come there with the big hat on. I just think is disrespectful to who? Say what you're saying. The guy. I just think is because that's how that's you just my thing. It's not even God, but how you never go to church in jeans. I've opened up. Yes, I've opened up to wearing a pantsuit because I just for a long time felt women shouldn't go to church in pants. So, but that's your upbringing. Yeah, so go with dresses and stuff. That was just my upbringing. Now I've gotten open to doing that, but still, I wouldn't go to church in jeans. You have your limit. You have your threshold. I'm not going to church in sneakers. Like that has a lot to do with your upbringing. Yeah, and you to say you them type. See, you the type baby. You I wouldn't do. Time out. No, we gonna run that tape back. Yeah, she said, but you have a hard time when people run it back, baby, because then you get embarrassed. You just said she just said go to church and her face. She did the screw face. She said, and I just said no. I mean, I person. I was in your face. So what I'm saying is, so hear me out. Hear me what I'm saying. You turn your face because that is what you believe. That you say is disrespectful to God. It's okay for you to believe. I'm not. It's okay. I'm saying she one of them types that you bust up in there with some jeans. She be like, now what the hell? I wouldn't have did dance. But because you have a certain belief, I personally, it don't matter to me because if you're coming in to get the word, and if that's all you got to wear, then it doesn't matter. I don't even care. What are you wearing? I don't care. Judgment on certain people. But that's why people don't come because they may not have, and they be like, see, I can't dress a certain way, so I'm not going to go. And these are all the different hindrances that happen to start relating. When you say come as you are, like to really believe that, I mean that, and don't let me walk in there as I am, and you're not talking trash. Yeah, and I do think that has helped bring more people into the building when they can come in here with whatever they can wear that day to church. I think that now, or I understand. So that's why I said I've been more open to why they're doing what they even with the music. Because when Kirk Franklin came out, it brought a whole of the young generation in. Yeah, and it's gotten them more open to read. And then other artists started doing you started hearing other artists sing more in a way that wasn't the traditional way of doing it. Yeah, gospel music, man. I mean, it got me. Yeah, well, that was our generation. Yeah, you know what I mean. So when you say younger generation, because we're older now, he's been out for like a million years. But that when he came out, I was in my early 20s. Yeah. So that means y'all was in your mid 20s, right? So you know we were young. Yeah. So you bring in that, and it was like okay, that's what I'm saying. That the beats, and it was just like wait, what is this? Because you jam into it, and then you listen to the words, and you hear the words, and then you realize that you celebrating God. You know what I'm saying? So I love it. Listen, y'all do the best y'all can. That's what I'm saying. Do the best y'all can. So remember, we're not your average aunties. We have real talk, real laughs, and real auntie energy. Yeah. Until next time, bye. Deuces.